I'm not shy of either. I went crazy during telling everyone what's going on with
It was an interesting time, that's for sure.
we're only one. You're alone. How about you?
Here, it's 5:30 if you want to get the meeting started.
Absolutely. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Let's go ahead and begin with the Ward 3 Neighborhood Advisory Board meeting for Tuesday, October 7th, 2025, 5:31. Can I please get a roll call
Gabriel Maya,
here?
Valerie Tilson,
Present.
Zachary Bolton,
Present.
Anthony Dispanziri is absent at this time. Jürgen Hohn,
Present.
Sarah Horseman, absent at this time. Marie Rodriguez, absent at this time. Ed Park,
Present.
Pablo Navaduran.
Present.
We have a quorum of the Ward 3 Neighborhood Advisory Board.
Fantastic. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. Let's go ahead and start with is there any public comment registered for in person or online?
Comments heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the NAB's agenda. The NAB may not take action upon any matter not agendized on today's agenda. When you're called on for public comment, please state your name for the record and begin speaking. The timer will begin when you say your name and you will be afforded 3 minutes. If you're an attendee in the Zoom meeting and would like to make public comment at this time, please raise your hand. With that, I don't have any public comment cards here in chambers. Is there anyone in chambers who would like to provide public comment? Seeing none, Chair.
Very good. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue with the agenda for A3 election of officer. We're looking into the selection of the board secretary.
Is there anyone on the board who would like more information about the board secretary role, interested in it?
This is Zach Bolton for the record. Can you explain it a little bit?
Sure. So the board secretary would be our third officer on the NAB. Their primary responsibilities are to work with me to verify a quorum and complete the minutes for each meeting. That does start tonight. We don't have a contracted minute taker for this meeting, so I'd be working with the elected board secretary to get these minutes done. Verifying a quorum looks like reaching out to me about 48 hours before the meeting and just checking to see if we have a quorum established yet. If not, I'll let you know who hasn't responded, and the board secretary can reach out to them and confirm their attendance for the meeting. That and then the minutes. Right now, with some of the other board secretaries, we're working on about a week timeline to get the minutes in, but that's flexible. As you know, we're here once a month, so there's a flexible time frame on that.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
What is the time frame from our meeting to be being recorded to where you have the draft of the meetings? When is that?
The draft
typed
of the minutes?
Yes.
So the meeting recording is available pretty much immediately, like the Zoom recording. So the next day, I'll also add that for the secretary, I'll be providing a minutes template before each meeting. So it's just something that the secretary can take notes in during the meeting and use to write their minutes. But then the day after the meeting, I'll send the secretary the Zoom recording so they can reference it. And like I said, ideally within a week after the meeting, we'd get the minutes back. But there's a pretty flexible time frame because, like I said, we meet every month. So as long as it's within 2.5 weeks, that's something we can work with. Yeah. And I'll also say that with the new resolution, we're going to be doing board officer elections every year in January. So chair, vice chair, board secretary, we're going to revisit those elections in January because that's how it's going to start from now on, the calendar year. So whoever is elected board secretary tonight will kind of get a trial run through October, November, December, and then we'll revisit it in January if you decide you don't like it or if you like it and you'd like to be elected again.
Okay, thank you very much. Valerie Tilson for the record.
Thank you, Valerie.
Yeah, Jürgen Hohen for the record. Yeah, I'd be interested.
Okay,
I would like to nominate Jürgen Holmes for the board secretary.
Zach Bolton for the record. I will second that.
all right, we have a first and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously.
Very good. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jürgen. Member Jürgen, I think it'll be a great help. And thank you for volunteering for this very important position. Continuing on, A4 for the approval of the agenda for October 7th, 2025. May I get
Chair,
yes?
I just want to say I don't have Councilmember Martinez on the Zoom call. If you'd like to move the council liaison report to later in the meeting, if he shows up on Zoom or in person,
Okay, absolutely.
we can move it after the business items if you'd like.
No problem. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Sounds great.
All right, so let's get the approval for the agenda for today, October 7th, 2025.
Zach Bolton for the record. I would like to do a motion.
Valerie Tilson for the record. I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Approval of minutes for September 2nd, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. May I get a motion for the approval of minutes for September?
Jürgen Hohen for the record. What am I supposed to say? Approve,
I would like to move.
approve, motion to approve.
Zach Bolton for the record. I will second.
Very good. Everybody, all of those in agreement, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Then let's go ahead with the staff liaison report.
Sounds great. Thank you, Callie Shai, staff liaison for the record. I'm going to share presentation today. The hope is to have a sort of training topic every week. So we're going to cover one today on tracking planning cases through kind of their journey through the city, but I'll start with some general announcements. We have some City of Reno engagement opportunities. The first one is the Junior Park Ranger Program. It's a program that's open for residents of all ages, and the next event is Saturday, October 18th at 6 p.m. at Huffaker Park. And the activity is stargazing. If you're interested in that Junior Park Ranger Program text is linked, and this presentation will be uploaded tomorrow. We also have Rolling Recreation. They'll be at Yory Park throughout the month, and those dates and times are linked on the City of Reno calendar. The last one is the Ward 3 Biggest Little Fall Refresh. That is this Saturday, October 11th from 9 to 12 at Wooster High School. I also wanted to remind the board and members of the public of Reno Direct, a non-emergency service request center that the city provides. This is a great place to submit general service requests that are bumped around to departments all over the city if you have general requests. Next, I just wanted to remind everyone about the quorum reminder. Thanks to everyone. Everyone here responded to those emails. So as you saw, I'm going to start sending out a quarterly email. And then our newly elected board secretary will help me confirm quorum before meetings. So just make sure that you're responding to those emails or updating. If you've already indicated you'll be present at a meeting, but something changes, just let me know. No pressure on that. Next up are the City of Reno's newsletters to ensure you stay informed about your community, including news, events, and updates specific to Ward 3. We encourage you to sign up for the Ward 3 newsletter. There's a couple other newsletters that I'll talk about a little bit later during the training topic. But this is on the City of Reno's website at Reno.Gov. You can hover over How Do I and click on Sign Up for Newsletters. There's a lot of different newsletters there, so just depending on what you're interested in, go ahead and check those out. One second, we have board member Anthony Dispenseri on. I'm just gonna promote him. I think he might have had a question, so I want to make sure we see his question. Okay.
Hello.
Perfect. Hi. Did you have a question or you were just trying to join?
No, I had the wrong link from the Teams and then we had to switch
Oh.
over to Zoom.
Okay. All right. Okay. Next up, thank you to Jurgen for being interested in the board secretary role. We also have 4 vacancies currently on the board. 2 of those are alternate member vacancies. So if you know anyone who was interested in applying to serve on the board, you can point them to the new boards and commissions website at Reno.Gov/boards. It looks a little different now. It's got this really beautiful interface with a lot of helpful buttons and links to access different parts of the boards and commissions. This slide is providing some information on additions from the new boards and commissions resolution. There aren't any development projects on our agenda tonight, so I'm going to skip over this. I'll revisit this the next time we have a development item, but that would be the project review worksheets, which some of you might have seen at the board member training, and the requirement for board officers to provide public comment, but we don't have to worry about that tonight with no development projects on the agenda. With that, we'll dive into our first training topic, tracking planning cases throughout the entitlement process. If you have a question throughout the presentation, just feel free to unmute your mic and interrupt me. But we will start here. I'm going to run through the process and then dive into some of the resources that are available to help you kind of track projects throughout. So starting with intake, the planning department accepts most applications twice a month on the 2nd and 4th Monday of each month. And once an application is submitted, planning reviews it for completeness and either accepts it or rejects it. Once it's accepted, the project is tentatively scheduled for a NAB and a hearing, either a planning commission meeting or a city council meeting. And then courtesy notices are mailed to the property owners, the NAB, and other affected property owners. So if you've ever received those small quarter sheet pink thick cardstock, those are the courtesy notices that are sent at the beginning of the project. During the intake process, members of the public can access project information from the development projects newsletter and the permit portal. So let's take a look at the development projects newsletter. If you're subscribed, you've probably seen this before. The development project newsletter is sent after each intake. It's sent to city departments, it's sent to external agencies and members of the public. It provides information on current development projects, including some identifying project information, the case number, the case name, property information, important dates. I'll note these dates are incorrect. This project has since been updated. We'll see it at the November NAB, and it's been pushed further for Planning Commission. But it also includes contact information for the applicant's representative and staff, and then it includes the project's description. Here, you can also click on the link to be taken to the permit portal, which I'll show you in just a little bit. And you can click this button, submit comments, to see, to provide early feedback to the planning department. It also includes a map so you can orient yourself with where the project is. Okay, during the review process, the project is reviewed by City of Reno departments, planning, engineering, building, fire, other ones, public works, anyone who needs to get their eyes on it, and external agencies such as RTC, NDOT, Washoe County Health. During the review process, the applicant or their representative will present to the NAB, and the planning department will collect public feedback. That includes the project review worksheets you'll use at the next meeting. Sometimes the timing on that is a little tricky, but we'll talk about that at the next meeting. Throughout the review process, documents are uploaded to the permit portal, which kind of looks like this. It's the 1NV regional licensing portal. It serves Sparks, Reno, Washoe County, and Douglas County, and anyone can search for business licenses, building permits, code enforcement cases, and all of those kinds of permits. So on this portal, you can search by address, parcel number, or case number and find project information, records, and contact information. The images you're seeing on the screen now are what pulls up when you search a project specifically. So I searched that electric pickle project. You'll see next month. When you initially search, this records details page will be the first thing that comes up. So there you can see contact information, owner information, and the project description that planning puts in. If you're looking for other information, you'll want to hover over the record info tab. And there you can see the processing status, which is here on the right, shows you where the project is in the review stages. And then what's also really convenient is the attachments. If you're looking for the application, you'll just want to look for the document type. You'll see application. And if you click on the blue highlighted document name, that'll download the document directly to your computer. So that's a super convenient. Did I skip forward? No. Okay. Hopefully you've all seen the NAB newsletter by now. You should all be subscribed. These are the newsletters we send approximately 3 business days before the meeting to make sure you have all seen the agenda and that if you are attending online, you can register for the Zoom meeting. You can open, like I said, you can open the agenda and register for the Zoom meeting using those links provided. Coming back to the attendance reminder, when you receive this newsletter, it's a great time to check and see if you've let me know if you're going to be attending, if you have already said you're going to be attending, but that's changed. This is a great time to say, oh, let me make sure I've confirmed my attendance with Callie. Okay, we're halfway through. Next, the project is scheduled for a hearing. At this point, the planning department will work with the applicant or their representative to fulfill legal noticing requirement. So this includes mailing the legal notices to the property owners and you all on the NAP. This is the same list that received those courtesy notices. So if you've ever received these before, these are the yellow cardstock, about half page, that are sent out approximately 10 days before the meeting, either planning commission or city council. I think city councils might look a little different, but I'm not too sure on that. Additionally, the applicant will post a physical notice at the project location. These are those large, they're either 3x4 or they're smaller for smaller projects, 3x4 feet or smaller, yellow posters that say public notice on them. And lastly, the meeting is published in the Reno Gazette Journal. So a lot of different places that that scheduled hearing information is posting. Once again, you can follow the project process and find the records on that 1NV portal. But I want to show you again the development projects newsletter, because at the bottom of that newsletter, it includes a list of upcoming planning cases scheduled for city council and planning commission meetings. So it's a good idea to look down there and see what projects are slated for upcoming hearings, especially if it's something you've seen at a NAB before, because you might want to submit public comment or just follow along and see what happens. Okay. Lastly is when the project actually goes to a city council or planning commission meeting for a hearing and decision. Just like the NAB agendas, there are city council and planning commission newsletters. Additionally, the meetings are broadcast live on the City of Reno's YouTube page, and then the planning department will upload the decision letter to that 1NV permit portal so you can find it, same place you find all the other attachments, about 24 to 48 hours after the meeting. I wanted to include a little snippet of the city's meeting portal. This is great to find meeting materials for any and all boards and commissions. You'll find upcoming and past meetings with the materials associated. So this includes agendas, agenda packets, and minutes. I recommend checking out the HTML agenda. It's very convenient and very user-friendly because it doesn't download the agenda to your device. You can just view it in the web version, and then all the attachments are available there for you to view. These are those last 2 newsletters I wanted you to be aware exist. They're very convenient. They look just like the NAB newsletter, just for City Council and Planning Commission. So there you can view the agenda, you can register for the Zoom meeting and provide public comment. I do want to note that if you sign up for the development projects newsletter, that one that gets sent out during the intake process, you will also receive the Planning Commission agendas newsletter. We use the same distribution list. So if you check one, you're going to receive both. Okay, that was a lot of information. So I've condensed all of the resources onto one slide. So this is where you can find everything, and hopefully this description is helpful. I'm going to include this slide in future staff liaison presentations just as a resource. That and/or I will create a separate resource on the board and commission page so that you can find all this information in one place. With that, I have 2 more resources to show you that are related to planning. The first is the land development projects page. Let's say you're just like, I do not want another email. I cannot subscribe to another newsletter. That sounds horrible. The planning department maintains this land development projects page on the city's website. So here they include the links to those development projects newsletters from the past year. So you can just click there and see what have been the upcoming projects. They also include an updated list of rejected applications. And there's also a link to sign up for the newsletter and a link to provide feedback on development projects. The interesting thing about planning is that there are kind of two public comment / feedback forms. There's one that's linked on the DRM and that's linked on this page. I like to say that that one is better for supplying early project feedback. And then the other one that was on that earlier page with the additions from resolution, the boards and commissions resolution, that one is better suited for submitting comments to the planning commission once a project is scheduled. Regardless, if you submit comments to either of those forms, they'll get included, but that's a distinction that I like to make. The last resource is the community development zoning map. So if you haven't seen this before, this is also on the city's website, linked in a couple of different places. But this map outlines ward boundaries, zoning designations, and various overlays in the city. It's a great resource for understanding the zoning in your community and the city as a whole. So you can see Ward 3 is outlined in this kind of pinkish shaded region. So I recommend you take a minute or 2 to explore the map when you have time. And you can let me know if you have any questions on how to kind of manipulate this map and take a look at it. With that, that's the rest of the training on planning projects. I've included some upcoming meetings. We have city council meeting tomorrow, Reno City Planning Commission meeting next Wednesday on the 15th, and our next NAB is on Tuesday, November 4th. Does anyone have any questions for me on the training or anything else? Thanks for sticking with me.
Got a question. So
Pablo,
when I-
Please say your name.
Can you make sure you state your name for the record?
name Pablo Naduan, I'm gonna stay for the records.
Perfect.
So say we know is that tomorrow.
The council meeting is
the
tomorrow.
council meeting tomorrow. So so I heard that we have a lot of park space and field space that most of them Ward 3 was Pillmore Drive and a Southwood Truckee Waiver. So when go we have like a project when we go
When are you going to have a project?
like development project for the parks.
I'm not sure. I can take a look on that. Did you say it's something that's being presented tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure. I would tune into the meeting and see what's said. And if you have any follow-up questions, I would let me know.
Any questions from the board members? No? Well, thank you so much for your for the training staff. I appreciate you guys doing this really elaborate work. It's pretty good. I think it's gonna be something great moving on to go over different topics and stuff like that will be pretty helpful for us and for everybody else out there as well.
Thank you. And if Callie Shai, staff liaison for the record, if anyone has something that they'd really like training on, you can let me know. We can revisit it in the future agenda items if you'd like. Thank you.
Okay, so let's continue on and go over business item C1, Regional Transport Commission, or RTC, general project updates.
Do we have someone from RTC in the audience? Because I'm not seeing, Paul Nelson gave the presentation yesterday.
Dun, dun, dun.
We're gonna reach out to Paul. Just give us a few minutes. Anthony, go ahead.
I had a question. I had asked a question in the board, in the NAB board training session that the city had. And I think they were gonna maybe get back to us, or I don't know how the feedback was gonna be sent back, but we had asked, do you actually have to state your full name every single time that you make any kind of comment? Can you use your first name? Is there some other, can you sort of state your name as a board member at the front of the meeting and then have that be recorded for the duration of the meeting, just to make it easier to communicate with folks. This is Anthony Dispensary for the record. I forgot to do it. I think they were gonna maybe get back about, sort of more specificity around that. But I wasn't that, you were talking about training, and so I figured
Yeah.
that question.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think we're working on a little bit. We're trying to get the setup in chambers to be a little bit more helpful to the NAB and get some camera controls so that, because if you can see it from how you're watching us, you can't always tell who's speaking. And I think for the contracted minute taker, it was especially difficult. With Jurgen being our new board secretary, he'll be a little bit more familiar with everyone. It's not a hard and fast rule. It just helps the minute taker kind of
I
identify
understand.
who's speaking. But I understand your grievances with it. So we'll continue to work on it. When we get some update with the software in here, we'll definitely let everyone know. And it'll be, I think, just a little bit of a learning curve. So you're more than welcome to just state your first name or your last name, whatever. You don't have to say board member. You don't have to say your full name. Whatever works for you, we can continue working on it, but we don't have a clear answer for you at this time. So sorry
That-
about that.
Understood. That's fine. Thank you for the information. I was just kind of curious how the follow-up would be, but thanks for looking into that.
Yeah, no problem.
Zach Bolton for the record. I know it's a different type of training, but
Mhm.
last year the city hosted a citizens training course on how the whole municipal process works.
Okay.
Do you know if that's going to be rehosted this year?
I'm not completely sure. I know we do have a kind of a Reno constituents training. It's RCI. I can't remember what the I stands for, but we're having one for college students coming up, which is super exciting. And I think that might be the way that's going, but let me check in on that and I'll give the board an update.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Valerie Tilson for the record. I did want to comment on Anthony's comment about the cameras, because I do recall City Council member Naomi Durr talked about last month about the cameras that, they're like thumb little dots on the screen. And luckily, when they were nominating her ward chairman, he was like, "Oh, I'm glad I'm wearing a suit today because I'm on the full camera." So I was kind of hoping that might get more involvement, because I know that City Manager Jackie Bryant wants to get more involvement, and so do we. We all want to see more of us here, kind of like a Thanksgiving meal. Glad you came in. Let's discuss it. Let's get our concerns addressed and make solutions for what our concerns are. So that I'm hoping that would be a continuation to see the person up front. Thank you.
With the camera issue.
Yeah, with the camera
Yeah,
issue.
I'll check in with IT because I know it's a request we made and I know it's something they're working on. So I appreciate the comments about it. We have not received a response from RTC. Anthony, you have your hand raised?
Hi, this is Anthony for the record. One more question, really more about the presentation and the training. I really think you put a lot of good time and effort into that. I mean, I think it was certainly streamlined. The one thing that stuck out to me as we look at that process in general, though, is that all of sort of the input is sort of one directional in some respects, meaning that the developer comes, they sort of have the project set, what they want to do, and then it sort of goes through their process. They're really, and I raised this issue when the person who was talking about, I think the person who was the head of development at the city was sort of presenting how development works in general. But I find it to be very one directional in the sense that the city and the constituents aren't really going out and saying, hey, as as a city, as a neighborhood, as a, these are sort of the projects we want and sort of driving it in the other direction. Like what sort of the vision that our city should have for stuff that we really want and need. I do know there are some surveys that occasionally go out, sort of generalized inquiries on that kind of thing. But I don't even know if this is sort of the right forum for that or not. But I'd like to see, some sort of a bi-directional feedback mechanism where we as a community can sort of say, hey, these are the kinds of things that we're missing in our neighborhoods that we really like to see, and maybe seek out in the other direction sort of partners to improve certain things. And I know that's a little bit outside of sort of the general ethos of that, but that was sort of the thing I was struck by as you were talking about development and the general path, is that it's just quite one directional, and it's sort of we take what we get and we either like it or we don't, and there's not sort of any agency on the part of our NAB or other parties within, working for the city to really bring about what we really kind of think ought to be in our neighborhoods. And so that was, I don't know if other people feel similarly the way that I do, but that's sort of my take on what was described.
Give a reminder for the record. I do believe there's uh, a thing that the city does. We did it recently where things like the vision of Reno overall for the next couple of years.
The
So
master plan.
Master plan, yeah. I think that's where you're going, Anthony. Uh, I do think that we can propose as members of the community and as a NAB, bring it up to our councilman to the next couple master plans to have something more specific, maybe to the ward. Like if for Ward 3, we have a lot of residential. Do we want to continue having that kind of mindset of residential Ward 3, or do we want to start implementing more commercial or more mixed use permits, stuff like that? Maybe we can propose that as an app or as community members to our representatives. But I do believe that with the master plan, we do have a vision of what we want Reno to look like for the next coming years. But maybe we can do something specific for wards, and that could be something that we can help with our representatives down the road.
This is Anthony for the record. I agree that, generally speaking, at a high level, you've got sort of the city master plan. But yeah, like I was, I think you get where I was trying to say is we're sort of the eyes and the ears of sort of the more localized experience in our neighborhoods, and not so much just sort of the city plan overall. More specifically, I would say that, to take an example that I have my eye on, I think generally speaking, if you look at the businesses in Midtown, none of them is really thriving. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that they just lack foot traffic and the necessary, the amount of people that it takes to really kind of make some of those businesses thrive. And so if we were to direct certain, like try seek out proposals for how we could bring in, different densities in different parts of the ward, and a more granular level, or at least brainstorm about it and try to figure out, like, as a community, what might impact at a more localized level better, and maybe try to contribute that a little bit more in detail. I think that'd be a little bit more granular than obviously just sort of an overarching city master plan, and just giving sort of the residents a voice to, rather than just sort of taking, whatever comes along, from whichever developer is most keen for something. I'm just trying to see if we can't figure out a way to have a future and a vision and kind of, help to bring about some of the stuff that, I think a lot of people in the community might agree is sort of, needed for better overall experience.
I want to say, like,
Pablo, just state your name for the record.
my name, Paul Duan for the records.
Perfect.
For the record, we should not focus such like Midtown Reno, but I know when Midtown Reno business are struggling, but we should focus on Ward 3 as a whole, especially in Central Reno area. If you walk Wilkinson Park all the way to 23 and York Way. So there's a lot of business are shutting down. A lot of restaurants are freeing. We losing resident. Nobody wanted to move in those area. So we need to focus on more produce on this area rather than Midtown or Newark area or Mariloma Park, except for Fatfield and parks in Park Pebble Drive and the south of Chucky Wafer on north of Mill Street. So I think like we should like maybe narrow down the road, like make Kiski Lane more like a Midtown Reno district. So we wanted to attract more residents to come in because we need to have a plan before 2030 redistricting plan. So if you don't have a plan, then we losing residents, and we could make a Ward 3 map look bigger because we look like very tough. If you look enrollment for Von Wooster, because I've been to the zoning vice community meeting, and they're losing a lot of students, especially Von Wooster. So they build a new Von. So if you don't do something, the school district think they might have to close Wooster. So we need to think about it. So
Zach Bolton for the record. I share both of their sentiments. I think that it's a great idea to try and get more Ward 3 specific projects going. Is there an existing pipeline that could help us figure out exactly what the community's needs are? I guess is my question, or wants.
I think that this forum honestly is a good place for the members of Ward 3 to come and advise that. I agree with Chair Maya that the city plans based on the vision plan and the master plan. So I believe I've seen before, I'll check on it, that the city does reach out to the public and do some engagement on getting some input on the master plan. I feel like I've seen something recently, but that might not be the case. So I'll take a look. But I think that the master plan is really what guides our city and what guides development in it. So that's where a lot of focus should be kept. But I think there are also a lot of different organizations that are working on improving, certain areas in the ward. I know lots of people brought up Midtown. The Midtown district is always doing great work there. If it's something that the board is interested in and you wanted to get a presentation from the Midtown district, that's something that anyone on the board could reach out to them to see if they're interested in giving a presentation, connect them with me. If you need any help facilitating that, I'm more than happy to do so. So I think there's a chance that there's some good things happening now that maybe we're just not hearing about. I don't know of a place where, ward specific things are very centralized, but yeah, it's something we could continue to explore, I think.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate that. Is that something that Councilmember Martinez would know more specifically?
He might be able to if we were to pose that to him, and maybe he could bring some things to his next council liaison report.
Okay.
So we can definitely inquire about it.
Yeah, because at least how I imagine it is a lot of community members would more likely go to him or Reno Connect with these types of ideas.
Sure, yeah.
But I do think that everybody on this council is a great advocate for the community, and we are collectively supposed to raise these voices.
Is there Valerie Tilson for the record? Is there a possibility when there's business renewals sent out that there can be something typed on the renewal notice saying for those who've been 1 year brought like brand new to come back to the NAB to give us feedback of what they have experienced so we can get in their shoes, so we can see the developer side of some of the roadblocks.
You mean like just typical businesses, people that are coming in for business licenses, or do you mean development projects that we see and then it's sometime later?
Like whether like similar developments like Talus, but
Okay.
that's ongoing since that's been around since
Yeah.
2019. But just like if they're like electric pickle, there was a comment on Reno Reddit, I don't know, a couple days ago asking about electric pickle. And I'm like, I don't know. I typed in, I'm like, still paused, nothing at the Reno City Council. So I'm like, all right, people are wanting to know what new businesses are going. And it's like when a new business comes in, and we all know every 2 blocks is a McDonald's and a Starbucks. But if we can promote local businesses or have a business that comes in and say, hey, this is what I do for the community. I just came in and this is how I'm giving back. Like whether it's women and children, women's and children's wax. I'm drawing blank on the full name, or the Karma Box Project, or, Project 150. I'd like to hear more feedback have them come in. I know it's right now it's school season, but to have more feedback where we get more exposure, because they want exposure and we want to know what needs when we have a development, so we know what questions to ask that may concern a business that we may not even consider. Like if Taco John's is going to open and right around the corner, 2 miles away, due to business delays, that the other business didn't do a geo lookout to see how many other taco stands are in that 5-mile parameter, that their measure of success is going to be less. So that's what I'm kind of wondering, if there's something can be put on the statements, saying, hey, would you be interested in meeting with the NAB a year later to give insight, or if there's someone, I'm drawing a blank now, but anyways, all in my.
Yeah, sure. Callie Shai, staff liaison for the record. So the current resolution for development projects specifically, something we see under the B items, it requires them to come into the NAB once. So that obviously that's during the project review, right? Before they get whatever entitlement they might be seeking from development services or from the planning commission or the city council. I think it's a great idea to have businesses come into the NAB and kind of tell the community what they're doing and what they're interested in doing. I'd say there are so many businesses that come in that we don't ever see at the NAB, right? Because they're not seeking a specific entitlement that they need planning commission or city council approval of. We can't require them to come in. There's so many business licenses that the business licensing department processes. I'd say if it's something that I think it would be a great opportunity for the DAB members to see a new business. If you hear about something, say, hey, I'm a board member on the Ward 3 NAB. I'd love for you to come and just let us know what you're doing. They can come during public comment if they're interested in being on the agenda. I'm not completely sure how that would work, but we could look into that. So I think it's a great idea. It's not something we can require them to do, but it's a really great idea.
Valerie Tilson for the record. I wasn't saying a requirement. I just wanted a feedback to where they can hear more, because our attendance is so low.
Right.
I want to make sure that if a developer like Talos is coming in, so that South Meadows is going to explode more with businesses and other supplements that go with residential, just like we were doing for our practice session for training. Where are you going to put the hospital? Where are you going to put the church? Where are you going to put the park? So I wanted to, that's just where my mind is going, is okay, we see the development, but I'll just stop.
No, I understand your frustration. It's hard because at the planning commission meeting or the city council meeting is like the big kahuna, right? That's where all the big goal staff report is. That's where you find everything. It's hard with the timing because when they come to the NAB, it's either they've just submitted or they're about to go, or it's somewhere in the middle, right? So things aren't hammered out. And it's unfortunate. Sometimes the NAB doesn't get to see the whole picture. That's why I hope with the training, you can, at least for the thing, because sometimes we see things where it's like, okay, that's easy peasy, right? We know they're just trying to do something really small. But hopefully if it's something that sparks your interest and you're like, I really want to make sure I'm informed about this, hopefully that training is helpful so you can see the steps and see the documents they're uploading, and you can reach out to the planner. Obviously the development services planner who's assigned should know that project like the back of their hand, right? So they're the most knowledgeable about it. But I do appreciate your comments, and hopefully that training is helpful and you can let me know how to help make you more successful.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Valerie.
Listen for the record.
Okay, I just want to segue. It seems RTC got caught up in the same scheduling error you all saw today. So RTC won't be here. We'll work to get them here for the next meeting. In the meantime, their presentation is uploaded to the meeting materials. So I'll keep you all updated on that. Hopefully we'll see them at a future meeting.
Give a reminder for the record, not to pinpoint any blame on anybody. I would suggest if there are gonna make any changes on the reminders or on those things, let's make them after the nab.
Great idea.
So then if anything happens or there's any questions or we can, it'll be after the fact and
Yes, I appreciate it, Chair.
Again, I'm not I'm not trying to put anybody on blast. I understand some things have to be done at the moment, whatever, but I would suggest we can do that. So
Yes, caused a lot of confusion, so I apologize for that.
no worries. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the board for your input this afternoon. There's a lot of things that are cooking as you guys were talking. My mind was going 1,000 miles per hour. So there we can. And the good thing about this as well, this is recorded. So I will let Councilman Martinez I'll let him know. Hey, you need to watch the recording because there's a lot of good stuff cooking here. So, and I think that we can something that we can do as NAB members. That's where we can be the change in our community as members. Start to reach out to if you visit a restaurant consistently, or the restaurant down the street, if you know a business down the street that you frequent, and stuff like that, start building the relationships with those businesses. Start getting to know the owners and let them know, hey, this is what's going on. Because obviously they're busy running their business, so they're not gonna think about, oh, I'm at the council meeting or the NAB meeting, or they're not gonna think about the things that we do. So we can, expose those things to them as well, because they are part of our community. They're very valuable. They have businesses and stuff like that here in the community. So I would suggest, I'm not saying we have to, but I would suggest to the members if we can start developing those relationships with people in our communities, so we can start exposing them to what's going on here, so they can, maybe they can come and expose a situation that's going on that maybe they feel that the city's lacking on, or they can improve and stuff like that. And then little by little we can develop our community as a whole, because I think that's the end goal of this mission of the NAB, is to bring value to the community and to our councilmen, our elected representatives. So yeah, unfortunately we don't have RTC coming in this afternoon, but I think we got other things discussed that are really as important or even more important than the meeting with RTC. So yeah, if we can probably get a quick rerun next month, I think that'll be pretty beneficial for all of us. If not, then we can just stick to the presentation that we can get from the PowerPoints and stuff like that. So all right, so let's go ahead. Is there any other reports from the members or any announcements from any community events you guys know of?
Okay, I'm probably not doing for the workers. So they will have a zoning advice community at next Thursday, 5:30 p.m. The meeting will be determined, but likely Smith Ridge, Pine, or Dawson. So that talk about most of them Ward 3, talk rezoning of a new elementary school Pine campus, because they're building a new school when after the Pine Middle School being shut down. And hopefully there should be a new lower elementary school zoning. So hopefully that the agenda will be by next week soon, or later meeting. So I'm gonna give you some updates.
All right, thank you so much.
Zach Bolton for the record. I guess I just want to thank the council and the mayor as a whole for during the ADU process. I felt like they had a good resolution today.
No. All right. I have no announcements. I just want to Thank again the staff. You guys are amazing. Thank you for everything you guys do. And also the board. Thank you, every single one of you. Even though Anthony's not here with us, but he's here virtually. Thank you for making the time to be here. And is there any future agenda items that we would like to discuss at this point?
This is Ed Park, board member. So for this item agenda, just a question of, can we propose future agenda items at this point for this item?
Yes, this is the item to do that.
Okay, so I would like to bring up something, and there is discussion, I know, of having the police chief come make a presentation for us. I'm aware of there are investigations involving massage parlors in the city of Reno, as well as in Sparks. There was a news article regarding that in the city of Sparks. And I would like an update on the investigation and the processes. You know, for being a Reno resident, I was sort of surprised that the sudden proliferation of these massage parlors around town. And, you know, living in a state that legalizes prostitution in certain counties, I was sort of surprised. Why wouldn't they take the avenue of, you know, legalized prostitution as opposed to sort of hiding? I'm not accusing them, but I'm just saying, as opposed to hiding behind a legitimate massage business. And I can imagine the legitimate massage businesses in town are frustrated and by all the confusion and all the possibility of illegal activities happening at these new massage parlors. So I would like to propose some discussion by the Reno police chief at this NAB in the future. Thank you.
Just regarding that whole topic of legalized prostitution, as far as I understand it, it's based on the population of the county. So it actually wouldn't be legal in Washoe County to do that. And so, yeah.
I'd like to post a future agenda meeting on Washington School District's capital project presentation going up, especially on Ward 3 for school.
Yeah, I'll let the board know. I believe we have Washoe County School District coming to a meeting soon.
But Jorgen Hohen for the record. So to your point, I'd like to get the police chief in and talk also about crypto crime, what they're doing. So, and is there a path forward, you know, because it's not our problem. We've never done this before. The theft of a crypto wallet is a theft of a crypto wallet, one. Two, what they're doing specifically in regards to managing trespassing of the unhoused, AKA in that sense. And I'd like to add an additional kind of point of interest is food permitting or health inspections, not of just restaurants, but specifically for nonprofits that are, you know, handing out food, right? Is there a food poisoning thing? Like I was on a trip and I came back and I'm looking at my oysters. I love oysters. And that could have gone really bad for me, you know, raw oysters from Costco. Great deal. But the point is, are there some guidelines from our health and safety people for nonprofits for helping just for helping, right? And if so, is there an inspector that does it? What's the process? I'd like to put that on the agenda item.
Valerie Tilson for the record. I was wondering if they use a commercial kitchen, because I used to be a fast food worker and I used to be food certified, so I'm quite particular on keeping stuff very clean. So I know that Reno Burrito, when I signed up a while back, is where you were cooking the meat at your own home. So what if you cross or sneeze or cross contaminate to someone else that has an allergy? Since everyone has an allergy to one thing or another, that also concerns me. So I agree with you completely.
Jorgen Hohen for the record. So yeah, it's just kind of looking at that whole process. We don't want to limit it, like the daycare. In the last 3 years, when this daycare person came to us, and there was one permit, I think, applied for or issued, I don't remember. Applied. And the application fee for somebody wanting to babysit 5 kids is $4,000+ to begin. Then you have to have lawyer fees, and then it's a maybe, and you might have to post a $500,000 bond. Who knows what that is, right? As a result, the working people, fine working people of our growing city have unsupervised daycare because no permits are being issued. So it's kind of in this direction, yes. So again, yeah.
Valerie Tilson for the record. I know Ashley was, Poots, I can't think of her first name, but she was talking about how this was brought up, I think 2 months ago at the city council meeting, and saying they were trying to go back and reduce some of the costs because to get more people in because there was such a low amount.
And then like Jürgen Hohen, for the record, like I know, for instance, Burning Man camps that serve food need to have a person, I don't know what they're called. Are they called camper, burners, that they have to have a food permit. You can't serve food without a camp, with 1 or 2 camp burners having a permitted food handling permit. So I would think if it's out there, maybe we should take a look at it, or is it overregulated, or is it just nothing?
Zach Bolton for the record. First of all, I would love to know the larger process of that, just like you. I think it also depends on whether the food is donated or cooked, because I've been volunteering at a homeless shelter over the last few months, and they have donated food, and I noticed that the standard that they operate under is a lot less than what a restaurant would be. And so having that context, I do feel like would be helpful as well.
Valerie Tilson for the record. I'd like to request for the future of the agenda, because we have not had a Reno Fire Department come in since I've been on the NAB, and I've only been here since January.
Yeah.
So and everyone's asking, renewals are coming up for fire insurance, home insurance,
Yeah.
and people in the timberline outlying areas are not getting coverage or paying outrageous rates. So I'd like to have the fire marshal come in, or one of the, because I know he was going to talk to the Reno City Council last month, and I don't think he attended, but I know there was a commissioner meeting, the fire commission meeting this morning, but I didn't watch it.
Jürgen Hohen for the record. One other item, let's get the GSR back in here. They're building this fabulous arena, $1 billion. Let's see where it's at, what they're doing. It's, when they presented, it sounded fabulous. I'd just like to bring them in, give us a brief, please.
We have Anthony online as well. Anthony?
Hi, Anthony Dispensary for the record. I know I had made some previous comments specifically around pedestrian safety as well as code enforcement. I know there's been several, various discussion at different recent NAB meetings around these subjects. And I know we had talked about potentially having a presentation or more around, code enforcement and sort of what the rules are, and then stuff around, Callie, I know you'd asked me to forward some information around the
Yes.
requests I had been making, which I did, around pedestrian safety and that sort of thing, and general neighborhood traffic safety, walkability in Midtown, those kinds of subjects. And so that had been a prior discussed item that I think it sounded to me like the rest of the NAB members were in agreement with the idea of discussing that further. I'm not really sure how, I don't know what the process is for, really getting future items on the agenda and then sort of having people attend and discuss those items. But that's, I'm still interested in those items, of course.
Yes, thank you. Callie Shai, staff liaison. Thank you for sending that in, Anthony. Or any other?
Zach Bolton for the record. On the subject of enforcement, I know that came up a lot with the ADUs. Do we know if the council's explored any municipal bonds to try and get the funding to try and meet that demand the public is requesting? Or anything along those lines?
Not aware of the
Okay.
city looking into that.
I was just curious.
Okay. Let's go ahead and, well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for your input. I appreciate that. And I think we will have a full doc in the next couple of months with everything going on. And so let's go ahead and move on with public comment. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to make a comment? Yes, please.
Ma'am, if you can just fill out a public comment card once you're done. Yeah. And then just state your name for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
Sandra Quiroz with Casa Latina, nonprofit business here in Ward 3. To your concern about the parlors, and you suggesting people to come, or the police chief to come speak on that. I would like to suggest that maybe the heat unit who handles human trafficking cases and works on those cases, as well as Awaken, and maybe the human trafficking prevention program that might be suited for that.
Thank you. I don't have any other public comment cards. If there's anyone in Zoom who would like to provide public comment during this item, please raise your hand at this time. Okay, Chair, seeing no one online raising their hand.
All righty. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time. Again, thanks for being here in this beautiful October 7th afternoon. And let's go ahead and close this out. I would like to move to adjourn the meeting of October 7th, 2025.
Valerie Tilson, I second the motion.
Jürgen Hohen, do I need a second? No, third it? Anyway,
Okay, everybody, who agrees, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody against? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.